I still struggle against a tendency to go into sort of a passive mode where I just kind of think, oh, everything's fine and dandy in our family, and I'll just kind of be over here. I'll go read my book, and check in on you guys later, and just assume everything's kind of okay. And I realize that very quickly, and when I do that, very quickly, some lies come into our family. Our children get weird ideas in their head about maybe they're not loved or cared for, and I just have to always keep that dial up at full attention, full effort, full investment in my family. Because if I let that down even for a moment, they really do start to doubt whether or not they're my priority, or whether or not I'm going to actually lead them well. Whether or not they can count on me or trust me, and those are really high stakes things, And so to this day, whenever I'm not doing well on the leadership part, I can pretty quickly see the consequences of it when I see again more anger or confusion or bitterness or anything like that kind of welling up in the hearts of my children. The first place I've learned to go is, all right, what have I been doing the last couple of weeks or maybe even months that has kind of produced this feeling of insecurity in my children? Is it, at the end of the day, I think it all comes back to me. Like, I am responsible for my family, for what happens here under my roof, and though I can't have full control over their feelings tell me something about where I may have missed the boat on something that I am responsible for. So I'm just always trying to keep my head in the game with being a good father to my children.
To me, fatherhood is leadership. Fatherhood is like the highest form of leadership. I think, just like leadership, fatherhood isn't all about a title, right? It's really about how one life can influence another. And I think just like great leaders and just like great fathers, it's not about, your children just listening to you because you're their father. It's more about how your actions and how you guide them and how you're living influences them in a positive way.
How do you influence a kid? Influence requires time. I had a nice little chat with Dad Armando Cruz about this. I want you to hear what he has to say.
This paradox of working more to provide for your family so you can best serve them, but very often comes at the expense of not spending time with them, right? So as an entrepreneur, one of the biggest myths is, or I remember being very aware, having this conversation with my business coach, and he asked me, he said, what would you like to do? I said, well, I would like to make X amount of money so I can spend more time with my kids so that, we can have more fun and spend more time with my wife. And he said, well, do you really need that much money? Do you need that to spend more time with them? In other words, is that concept of you need more money to spend more time with them really the deal? Or are there really two separate things? And when I reflected on it, I realized that no, it was more of a belief system I had. In fact, I could spend more time with my kids right now. I didn't need to make more money. And so the biggest dud that I had was all the time that I missed with them, trying, convincing myself that I needed to work harder and more to make more money to then be able to spend time with the kids. When in reality, the time was always there. I just was filling it with being busy. It wasn't even that effective. It was just busy, because then I'm doing it and I'm in the back of my head, I'm thinking, man, I wish I could be with my kids when I could have. And so what that taught me was, number one, very often the stories that we have about our situation and what we want are not necessarily the reality.
Armando asked some interesting questions there. How much time do you need to spend with your kids? And do you need more money for that? Providing financially and providing time are two separate things. What things are you busy with, but something that's not useful to you or effective? I don't have time is often not a reality. As dads, we all need to provide time for our families, our wives, our children, but we also need to provide time for ourselves. It's not all give. Because in order to provide, we need to be filled up. And the next professor, Wayne Parker, is a great dad that I had a chance to talk to. He's going to talk about how you can provide time for yourself.